Hello, chat. Are you ready for pain? Are you ready for suffering? Then you need to get on the BitChute version of this film I watched in glorious 360p. Oh my gosh, guys.
Oh wow! You see, now I watched it on Sky Cinema.
Oh,
I'm
classy.
I'm very legit. You see, and I've got to watch it in the old of 1080p.
1080p. Oh, glory.
Yep.
Well, that is the way to. Yeah, you know what? It's a mark of the quality of this film that I stuck with it in 360p pixel vision. Just great big. I really like the big tall block and I thought the blurry person was really cool. That was my
What
favorite bit.
what about the yellow block in between like the two grey blocks?
Oh, stand out.
Yeah.
Emmy snub, frankly. Could it
Oh,
snub
just
for the Emmy?
it's absolutely criminal. Absolutely criminal.
Yeah. All right.
Do you know what I
Chat,
should? Do
how
you know what I
you
should have
doing?
done?
Oh,
Sorry, before we talk to chat, what I should have done was go back to my mum and dad's house, or my mum's house, dig out the old VCR, dig out the original copy I had on this had of this on VCR on VHS, and watch it that way. That's what I should have done.
Oh, that some would say it's the only way to experience it. I was just saying I was introduced to this by my cousin, and he had taped it. I was like 12 or something, and he taped it, and he was like, "Oh, you got to watch this," and it was just concentrated Arnie, and it was absolutely glorious. And
Oh,
now I watch it back, and I'm spotting different things, but I'm still having an absolute blast with this film.
same here, same here. As I was saying, even when I watched it, even when I did the last rewatch, I found something new that I hadn't before, and to find that, I just needed to be a bit patient. So I was really pleased with that.
Yeah.
Now we can
Oh.
ask how the chat are doing.
Yeah, all right, chat. You've rolled in. I've seen new faces there. Hannah, good to see you. I don't recognise the name. Forgive me if I'm forgetful. It does happen. I've seen lots of regulars. Arlo, Mergoot, good to see you. Mr. GB, Dom, good to see you.
I recognise. Well, I at least recognise the surname from Hannah. I'm sure she's been here before.
Welcome to a Tuesday stream. It's been a while, but we've got an absolutely packed schedule, by the way. So that's why it's a Tuesday. So let's see. Before we get in, I'll just mention. Oh, hang on, John Garris. Is Tuesday the new Thursday? Well, isn't that like retro? Are we retro now that we're on Tuesday? What do you reckon?
It's a bit of a role reversal, isn't it? Because back in the day, the rogue streams used to take place on Thursdays, and then the main double feature horror show would take place on these days. So I don't know, man. It's like we've entered the Mirrorverse or something.
It's still up in the air. I get people asking, is it definitely Thursday now? And the honest answer is I have not made my mind up. They have pluses and negatives. But I think we're certainly Thursday for the... I haven't got plans to change it back. I feel I'm possibly messing people around a bit if I do that. So we're definitely sticking with Thursday for the time being. And besides, it's the rogue has to go in somewhere, but it's a busy old week for me. I'm going to say I'll just quickly get a few shills out. You possibly can get a triple dose of proper horror show this week. You lucky people.
Ooh.
I know, right? So we've not only got this rogue stream on a Tuesday. We are back on Thursday. As you know, we are covering Life Force as part of Simptember. What else am I going to call it? I'm doing fan requests. And I feel so weird saying fan requests. The people who have been kind enough to support me as members and chuck some money towards the secret project, I am doing film requests for them. And Life Force is Yiz's film request. I'm excited about it. It has got Patrick Stewart in. It looks gloriously schlocky. So I'm really looking forward to this one. And that's Thursday. But on Friday, I told you this is a packed week, folks. On Friday, I am premiering a bit of a beast. This one in particular. It is It is the long talked about Invasion of the Body Snatchers video that was stuck in the unending torment of the YouTube copyright claims. You you saw me losing my mind.
Oh my
over
God.
this.
Oh my God. Do you know what? If if I was a fly on the wall in your house when you were getting those copyright notifications. Oh, well, I didn't need to be a fly on the wall because you made it very clear your feelings on Discord.
It wasn't family friendly. I'll
No.
tell you that.
Definitely a lot of in Minecraft moments, I tell you.
The thing is, they would only ever claim me for one bit at a time.
Mm.
And it's like, no, come on, don't do me like that. Because I'd fix it. This is a massive video, by the way, guys. It's not a Mauler length. It's 71 minutes, but that takes a long time to render and upload onto YouTube for it to then say, "Oh, we spotted another bit we got you in." I know it was earlier than the bit we got you for last time, but oh, what do you know? We just noticed it now. It's like, oh, swine. Verdammte Arschloch. Anyway, I had strong feelings during that entire process, but we are through it. And Friday, you will get to see it. So join me for the premiere on Friday. That's going to be fun. Look, I've been shilling like mad here. So TCG, do you want to hop on the shill train?
Yeah, sure. I played some Soma last night over on my second channel, That Crime Guy Live. If you're not subscribed, please do go and check it out. We're on 79 subscribers at the moment. I would love for that channel to get to 100. The purpose of that channel really is just for me to do some odd live bits. We do gaming on Mondays. I think we've got about 1 or 2 parts left of Soma before that's completed, and then we're going to be moving on to a game called Hidden Agenda, which is like a murder mystery game that actually is a PS4 game, but you actually use your mobile phone to control. It's a bit of an interactive one, so I'm looking forward to getting through Soma because that is, do you know what, if I believed in therapy, I'd probably be in session right now because that game is tormenting me. And then on Friday we'll be looking at doing some Florida Man fun. We do Freaking Florida Man Fridays over on the live channel as well, where we look through some articles and it's just a bit of a chill really, and have a bit of a laugh. Horror Show, bless her, and Denzel Jones, they draft up some memes if they get the time and the inspiration for you to all enjoy at the end of those streams as well. In terms of main content, I haven't had a lot of time to work on anything at present. I've got a script ready, just work has been a bit up in the air at the moment with a lot of activity, so that has sort of died down a little bit, so I'm hoping to get that buttoned off this week, but I don't want to make too many commitments at this stage. But for my channel members, I will have something out later on this week as part of the monthly obligation. I'll be back in October last year. I did a reading from Kate Cray's The 20 World's Worst Criminals or something like that. I can't remember the name of the book off the top of my head, but I'll be looking at doing another reading of that for my members. So if you are not already subscribed over on my main channel, That Crime Guy, please subscribe. And yeah, if you want to get some exclusive content, shout outs at the end of the videos, yeah, you can pay $1.99 and you can become a member and get some exclusive stuff on the side.
Oh, smooth shilling, very nice. I've also noticed chat is appreciating Life Force.
Yeah. I also just want to comment, Mima said that, wow, you two are both really feisty today. Wow, it's because of what we're covering, Mima. That's
absolutely why. We're pumped up.
We've been this has been on the cards for, I'd probably say, about a year now.
Yeah, just about that.
It probably has been, because I think we started talking about this early on, and we just always, for whatever reason, it just never happened.
I can't think why. It just got bumped. It got bumped. Oh, do you know? Tell you what. You know what prompted this? We should get that up. We should get it up. Okay, I am going to try and find it. There was something that came out. All right, TCG. You talk. I'm going to mute, and I'm going to find. Tell you what. You give people the pint of Guinness explanation of The Running Man, and I will find the thing that prompted us to finally cover it.
The pint of Guinness. I like that. So This film is loosely based off of a Richard Bachmann novel. Richard Bachmann, for those of you who don't know, is Stephen King's pseudonym. I didn't even know that this was based on a book because when I was young, I didn't really care about the beginning credits. I was more into the action and the fun side of the film. But yeah, this is based on a novel that Stephen King wrote back in the day. It takes place in kind of like a dystopian-esque America. Think of like 1984, George Orwell's novel. It's kind of like that kind of universe that they're living in. The main character, Arnold Schwarzenegger, who plays Ben Richards, essentially is framed for a crime that he didn't commit and is essentially sent away. They break out and he's later captured, and then he is thrown into a competition, a game show called The Running Man, which is the #1 game show in America, which also doubles up as kind of like a judicial system. So essentially, the runner plays for their freedom. But on their tail are stalkers whose main task is to basically just eliminate the runner. It is very schlocky, very fun, and we are going to be getting into it in more detail as the stream goes on.
Very nice, very nicely done. Yeah, it's there's going to be a lot of stuff that's going to sound really familiar to you. Like, oh, isn't that like 1984? Isn't that like Blade Runner? Hey, isn't that like Battle Royale? Isn't that like the Hunger Games? You know, but this has put it all together, and it's doing it a lot before those things. And I think it's had an influence, right?
Oh, definitely. Oh, absolutely. Just very quickly, Maverick Hunter Maverick says, "How many one-liners does Arnold have?"
Oh my
My
gosh,
dude, they went
endless.
overkill. They went overkill in this film.
I mean, so I looked at when this was coming out, right? This is not only the same year as Predator, 1987. Like I feel we're peak Arnie at this point, right?
Oh yeah,
So
absolutely.
we've had so many of the hits. We've had that first mega debut, you know, Conan the Barbarian. We've gone through the Conan the Destroyer, the Terminator, Raw Deal, Predator, Commando in 1985, which is the same director. And so people know what the Arnie film is. At this point, I kind of feel like this film really acts as like a satirical Arnie film, right? It's
I would
kind of
say so. Yeah,
nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
I mean, yeah, I'd say in terms of the Arnie films around that time, this was probably one of the more light-hearted films that he's done, besides Hercules,
True,
which I also had on video.
Oh, hang on. Here's a point. Yeah, could be. Well, okay. So
that's a good question.
All the Bachmann stuff kind of came out in 1985.
Yeah.
But the part of the fun of this is when he writes Bachmann, he puts a spin on things. So I felt he really wanted to not tarnish the horror brand. I mean, this was a major. One of the reasons he did Bachmann was to test whether he was only selling things for his name.
Yeah.
Which I thought was kind of cool. And he also didn't want to like oversaturate the market. But also writing as Richard Bachmann, let him try things out and do his sort of weirder satirical side.
There's more of a freedom there when you haven't got your actual name like slapped onto it. Yeah, Mergu rightly points out the film was the novel was written in 1982. In terms of Jingle All the Way, Maverick, that was the 90s, and yeah, he had a bit of fun around that time. Twins was another one.
Classic. What about Junior?
Junior, of course.
Was Emma Thompson in that? I've got a feeling she was in that, which just seems wrong.
Maybe
she is. She actually is.
Oh my god. Is she hot?
Oh, she has an English quality that goes beyond hotness.
Oh, fair enough. So that's a no then. Anyway.
Moving on. Speaking of hotness, I had some very weird feelings about where this film was going to go. You know, I've got one of these screen caps now. You've watched this scene today as well, so I know it's going to be fresh in your mind. There's a bit early on where Arnie is still having to, you know, sneak around. He's got to lay low. He's on a mission. He's trying to find his brother. So he puts on his construction worker outfit and goes, and I got mega porno vibes from this.
Oh, no, don't ruin it. Do you know,
He's going along, you know, there's like delicate piano music. It's got that second film on a Friday night on Channel 5 vibes.
Yeah.
You know?
See, I just want to point out actually with this image, the shirt that he's wearing. Now, again, when I watched this as a kid, you don't pay attention to these sort of like little details. But it wasn't until I started watching it as an adult and learning a bit more about Arnie. But when he first came to America, I believe that he actually started going to World Gym as his first gym when he started his bodybuilding career, and I'm pretty sure that he's wearing sort of this shirt as a bit of a nod to that.
Totally is. I love that he's a prisoner multiple times and he still takes out a cigar. I absolutely love it. This is why I really think they were kind of making this as a like nudge nudge wink wink. And Arnie is just absolutely in on the joke and loves it.
Yeah, I'm here to fix your pipes. I hear you have a leak that needs plugged.
If I could do it, I'd be like, I hear there's some unexpected dampness.
You have unexpected dampness in your bathroom.
Oh god, the sheer number. You could watch this and drink every time there's like an Arnie howl, you know, where he goes like,
oh, I love that.
I can't do them. Yeah,
it's like right at the beginning. Yeah, like when he gets like sort of like headlocked and sort of like dragged to the back of the helicopter, and you just hear this.
Yeah. Oh, how much would you love to have footage of the ADR session? Sorry, ADR is additional dialogue recording. It's when the actors come back in the studio to re-record the audio that maybe wasn't as clear on set. It's, you know, it's very common. So they have to do the ADR and they'll also try and fix things, like they realize they didn't explain something. So they'll sort of record an extra line. But wouldn't you love to be in the ADR session for this movie with Arnie just like, no, but sounding how he actually does, because I can't do that.
Yeah, this bit here where Dynamo's shooting electric shocks at you, and the second one where you sort of dive, you don't really make much sound. Okay, I'll try that again. ASM Arnie, can you imagine?
That's brilliant.
Can you imagine?
I would love
visual. That. What a comment.
Oh, right. So
basically German Chewbacca, says Mergu.
Oh no. Mergu, that is my favorite comment tonight. That's brilliant. I used to be able to do a Chewbacca. It's gone.
I think I can do Chewbacca. Hang on. Let me try. I've just had a sip of tea.
It's close. It's close.
Oh,
yeah, I think there's definitely self-parody. I mean, the fact that he slips in and I'll be back, you know.
And what was it? Damon's rebuttal to that. Only in a rerun. Oh, brilliant.
So I found the thing that prompted us to do the stream, and I'll get it on screen now. Okay, hopefully this will work. Oh, butts. No. All right, you'll have to bear with me, chat, because I don't know a better way of doing this. Right. It was this.
Yes.
I don't know. Is the audio coming through? Or are we okay?
It's coming through.
Stops on that. Nice. So, how are your energy bills? Are you a bit worried about it all?
Major.
Yeah. Are you?
I've got one of these prepayment meters, and it's absolutely murder.
Absolute savagery.
Well, let's on one of those then.
Whatever, you're going to win some money, so don't worry. Here we go.
One way or t'other. Here we go.
Dank has absolutely got it right on this one.
I mean, I can get why some people would find this weird, but I mean, there are competitions where like you'll get your mortgage paid for a year. I mean, like Lottery do this, or I don't know if they still do it, but they used to do this thing where you'd get like your mortgage paid for like 30 years or something along those lines, or like you get £10,000 a month for 30 years or something along those lines. So I can kind of see why they've done something like that, because it kind of highlights how sort of like dire the situation is for like the working people. But
it's a step up, but it is, I was satisfied back in the day when Cilla Black would offer you to have your ironing done for a year.
Oh, wow, I never knew that.
Oh, yeah. Me and Cilla, we go way back. Sorry, chat, we will be Brit posting tonight a lot. It's going to be a heck of a lot of Brit posting. Yeah, so that just had massive climbing for dollars energy.
Yes.
I get it on screen.
That's right, because you retweeted it with climbing for dollars, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Yeah.
So let's break it down. Do you want to summarize the climbing for dollars scene for people?
I mean, what is there to say, really? I mean, that picture, they say a picture says 1,000 words. I mean, look at it. You've got a guy climbing a rope, which you can't see here, but you've got a guy climbing a rope, and attached to the rope are like dollar bills, like bundles of cash, and he's frantically trying to climb up to catch them, and then like these Rottweilers come through out of nowhere, and they start like jumping up at him, and grabbing him by the ankles to try and pull him down, and obviously as he's going higher up, and I found it brutal, man. Just like, because it's impossible to win this game, because he gets up to a certain point, this massive like jet of like pressured air like smokes all over him, and then he falls down to his death. And you know what?
It's absolutely savage. Oh,
I'd buy that for $1 sort of thought in my head as well. It does make you think. It does make
kind
you
of
think.
Vibe, isn't it? Sort of big RoboCop vibes. Both of them really love doing this thing of just pointing out the absolute idiocy of TV. And I'm like, oh, guys, you don't know how bad it's going to get. You haven't seen Love Island.
Yeah. Well,
you haven't seen There's Something About Miriam.
Yeah. And I mean, we I think you called this, what did you call this stream? You mentioned the word prescient in it, didn't you? And
eerily prescient, yeah.
Eerily prescient. And as I was watching this again, and this is what I'm saying, like I pick up things every time I watch this movie, and I love it for that. It is a blink and you'll miss it moment when the announcer for the Running Man, he meant, like they go through like a couple of ads, and they mention this one product, Orthopure Pure Creation. Sorry, it's a bit of a tongue twister. Orthopure Pure Procreation Pills, and then he very quickly says, in adult and kiddie size. It's like, what?
Absolute filth. Slipped in there.
Yep. He's like, what? Naughty.
Very naughty indeed. So, I mean, should we talk about a little bit about this in terms of a prescient film? The kind of weird vibes I had watching this and thinking like, oh my gosh, you got it right.
Yeah, sure. Let's do it.
What did you know? So there's obviously the kind of climbing for dollars thing, the sort of cruel TV, the sort of which has just become like that's gone massively relevant recently. But I was thinking just like the general, the main thrust that it has is about how TV is made and the influence it has on people.
Yeah, it seemed to be quite aware, didn't it, with regards to, I mean, and bearing in mind, we're talking about a film that was released in 1987. So, I mean, in terms of media, in particular television, what are we, sort of like 30, 40 years, really, when it's really the main sort of modem of people getting their information, because before that it was radio, before that it was the newspapers. TV, even in 87 was a relatively new thing, and even if you go back sort of like 20 years before that, it was quite a privileged thing to have in your household. I mean, I hate to go on down a little bit, but obviously when the Queen passed away last week on the 8th, one of the things that people mentioned were during her coronation, TV sales boomed at that time because it just wasn't really something that you'd expect in the household that every family would have. It was a bit of a novelty piece, and because not many people had TVs, you get households of like people like from if you were like one person on the street that had a TV, the rest of the street were coming down to watch the coronation on the street. And that was 52. That was 1953, I beg your pardon, when she was coronated. So that was only 34 years before that. So the influence and sort of like the rise to influence that television's had in that amount of time, I think in particular when Stephen King wrote the book, presuming that he had TV in mind when he wrote it, because I know that this film is loosely based on it, but assuming that he had television in mind and the influence that he had, for a film in 1987 or a book in 1982, commenting on its influence then compared to now is scary.
Definitely. I'm slightly distracted.
I know. I saw that.
Think you could just come in here and slip your penis into the stream and thinking we wouldn't notice? Honestly, Scrum. We're sharper observers than that.
We felt the pinch, mate. We felt it.
I think writing under the name Richard Bachmann, I think Stephen King lets himself go a bit, and there's kind of like a double-edged satire here. I think like there's an obvious one you look at where it's like, oh, how can I say? Like there's a really acceptable version that you can see. So there's a satire of the glitzy, glamorous, and completely fake manufactured world of TV. They're going to give you the truth through the telly screen, and the unwashed masses are huddling, watching the massive screen. I kind of felt, I don't know, it reminded me to a certain extent of Videodrome, except I felt Cronenberg did that idea a lot better with Videodrome, where he had the homeless go to the cathode ray mission.
Right.
To get their dose of TV the way they, you would usually expect the homeless to be provided with a shower and a meal.
Yeah, that's it.
Like,
yeah.
No, they need access to TV to get back into society. I thought that was a much sharper satire. But then there's kind of like the other side of the satire on this, which is kind of how can I say? It's making TV for an extremely stupid audience.
Yeah.
And then you almost wonder, with everything they're doing in the film, are we the audience that this is made for? Is there kind of a nod and a wink, like, I'm going to throw you lots of really stupid stuff, lots of really funny stuff, and you're going to love it?
Well,
and they're absolutely right. I lapped this up.
Yeah.
It was hilarious. I had a great time.
Especially as a child watching this, I completely lapped it up. I didn't pay any attention to the deeper meaning behind this film, or what the film was trying to say, or what the film was trying to satirize. I saw explosions, Arnold Schwarzenegger, action, fights, grisly deaths. I was like, yes, I love it. Give me more. It was, it ticked all the boxes for my like 8-year-old brain. And even now at 36, I'm still like, yes, give me more. But I can understand it a little bit more, and I can hear what they're trying to say a little bit. I do think though that there are some moments in this where Stephen King definitely drew inspiration from Orwell. I mean, I think is this the screenshot here? Is this at the beginning or towards the beginning, or is this towards the end?
Pretty early on. Yeah. They're trying to establish the thing of like the massive wealth disparity in the telly screen that is giving everyone their information.
Yeah, it's just like, again, if you're not paying attention to what's going on in the background, you miss it. And as she's talking and sort of going through sort of like the daily updates, one of the things that she mentions is, it's October, so like it's double points, children, if you report your parents. And it's like, whoa, that was serious 1984 vibes right there.
Oh, that's directly from it. The kids will grass their parents up.
Yeah. And it's all sponsored by a Coca-Cola or Cadre Cola in the film. But yeah, it's and I also love how they sort of like intertwined the entertainment industry with government as well. Yeah.
Oh yes. There was a brilliant line that they slipped in, where I'll get the image for it because it absolutely cracked me up and it's brilliant casting. Where is my lad? All right, Buffy fans, I need you to tell me who this guy is. Who's the guy on the right, Buffy fans?
Oh,
I know you're gonna grab it.
I'm disappointed. I'm so sad because I love Buffy and
don't worry. This is some season 1. Hey, it's that guy energy.
Okay.
But in this, I'm just waiting for chat to get it. But there's this great moment of he says, "I'm your court-appointed television agent."
Yeah, that's it. Yeah,
it's hilarious.
Yeah, and like, of course, it's like when Killian's on the phone, and he's like, "Oh, get me the Department of Entertainment or whatnot," and then he's like, "Actually, no, get me the president's agent."
Oh,
so like, normally you'd be like, "Oh, get me the president," but like, even the president has like, again, gee, does that sound sort of prescient in this day and age?
Oh, just a little bit. Yeah.
But yeah, just the fact that the president himself has an agent for sort of entertainment and media matters just sort of sort of tickled me a little bit. It's brilliant.
Yeah, it's for as much as we've said that it's like deliberately making it stupid. It's deliberately showing you really stupid stuff that is basically reflecting the film being shown to the stupid audience in this reality. There is lots of clever detail in there for you to catch, which is why I don't feel it is just a stupid film or just like a mean satire. There is so much to catch in there, and you are picking up things that had just slipped by me, but you can just do a watch of this and pay very special attention to all the little adverts that are just incidental noise. People have got it, by the way. Fez, you got it first, I think. Yeah, that's Principal Flutie.
No way.
Principal Flutie.
Way.
I know. I was very, very distracted by this. There's also something, a vibe I picked up on in this that I really quite like, that because you have Arnie being the guy that they sort of have to punish and make an example of, you've kind of consistently got this whole state being run by complete bugmen. They're all really, really weak, and and they're sort of relying on a security guard to shepherd him round.
That's it. Yeah, I was just going to say, I mean, Killian's probably the best example of it, because everywhere he goes, you've got Sven in the background watching this, watching over him just in case, even towards the end of the movie. I know I'm getting really ahead of myself, but even towards the end, when Sven comes out, because initially Killian's like, "Oh, you're annoyed, you're angry at me," and then Sven comes out and his tone just changes because he thinks, "Oh, I'm safe now. I've got the muscle." Yeah, Chrominian says brilliant casting of Richard Dawson. He was brilliant in this film. Absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, the portrayal of the guy who's sort of very chummy to the camera, but has a very dark side, I thought was kind of classic.
That's something I didn't know, but I was curious of was whether he had previous hosting experience, because, I mean, just watching him in this film, he just seemed to naturally give TV host vibes. It didn't feel like it was acted. You know how like some, how like some actors will, like Joker, for example. If you look at Joker, just the most recent one that I can think of off the top of my head, where Robert De Niro's playing a TV presenter, it sounds forced, but I think Richard Dawson, the way he quote unquote presented the Running Man as the host was just natural, and I really was bought into that. Now I'm imagining Les Dennis being killed by Arnie.
He needs to call in Checkers for help.
Yeah.
Running Keith, lend a hand, come on. Yeah. Oh, you could see it. that has completely cost me my train of thought. There's too much Brit posting. There's far too much Brit posting. Yeah. Oh, this is just such concentrated 80s stuff. I absolutely love it. I had so much fun with it.
and do you know as well, like one of my favorite scenes in the film is the beginning, is the scene after the opener. If we just want to talk about that for a moment, where they break out.
Yeah, we have we sung lots of praises and a broad overview, but the start of it is something I did find a bit weird. I've only got the one screen cap from it, but we were both saying like, yeah, I'm not quite sure about how it opens up on this one. So I did so well to screen cap this. This was a nightmare. I do absolutely love this.
And this man right here, right? That guy is the film's unsung hero, Chico. I love how there is so much like emphasis on when they're trying to break out of prison. Obviously, Chico then makes a break for it, but the perimeters haven't yet been fully deactivated, and just like the grief on their face, the grief and the desperation. Chico, no, don't, like, Chico, come back. Chico,
2 days until retirement.
Yeah, I know, right? And then his head goes pop, and then it just seems like, you know, there's a real sort of somber moment afterwards, like, we've lost Chico. And the thing is, we the viewer know nothing about him. It's,
there's no my mind on this, because it's like, do they actually want us to take it seriously?
I know, but this is the beautiful thing, right? Because nowadays, when you watch modern films and things like that, you know, if you watch your Maulers and your Critical Drinkers, one of the things that, like, you know, we haven't got you haven't given us a reason to be invested in the character. Why should we care what happens to them? I'm sorry, but just that little moment with Chico, the desperation for freedom, like, you don't need to know anything about him. It just, you feel it when he goes, and the reaction from the other characters. I cared that Chico died. Also, I'm pretty sure the guy who plays him was in that vampire movie with what's his face? Richard Carpenter movie. Oh my God, it's escaping me.
John Carpenter?
John Carpenter, sorry, John Carpenter.
Just vampires?
Just vampires, yeah. He was in he was in, I'm pretty sure he was in Vampires. He
he's
gets
not
killed.
Even credited here. Disgraceful.
No, he's not. It's awful.
I'm having a look for him, but no luck. Okay.
Oh, wholesome chicken wrangler. It was not Chico time. More Brit posting.
There's too much Brit posting. We're going to alienate the Americans and the Germans. I had a comment from a German viewer today. That was lovely.
Nice, but yeah, I really felt for Chico. I would have liked to have known more about him.
I guess the trouble is, I just don't know if we're meant to take it seriously. Like, if I was just getting all serious business, I would say, what the heck is happening at the start of this film?
I know. We sort of, I sort of mentioned to you behind the scenes in chat. Let me know let me know your thoughts. But how would you feel if they had removed the opening scene altogether, sort of setting up the Bakersfeld incident or the Bakersfeld massacre? How would you feel if they removed that and sort of left it as a bit of an open-ended question toward, you know, where it's revealed at the end that actually this was a case of propaganda, and that he wasn't actually the Bakersfeld, but the butcher of Bakersfeld. I think if they had just got rid of that scene altogether and then just sort of, you know, he's the butcher of Bakersfield. No, yes, you are. It's propaganda, is it? Don't know. Because he's quite happy to kill loads of these security guards who probably have wives and sons and are probably, you know, fathers and family members, and he's quite happy to kill the Stalkers in the name of survival. You know, he's quite happy to do that. Did he massacre these people? It's an interesting question. Let's find out.
It's an odd one. It's just because you go through so much in a really short space of time. Like, it really surprised me. We have the amazing animated titles that look so concentrated 80s. It's amazing. Very 8-bit. very, very Toy Story graphics.
Yeah.
And then we're into this scene of him. It's what you would call a save the cat moment. Okay, so you're told it's a horrible dystopian government.
Yeah.
And he's about to go and suppress a food riot, and
Yeah.
he finds out they're unarmed, and it's like, oh, I don't know. I mean, they're still rioting for food, so even if they're a bit armed, like it's hard to really enjoy the Gatling guns being unleashed. They
I know,
just
right?
want food. As Actual Justice Warrior would say, they're Aladdin. They're just after bread. But the fact that they're unarmed is the it's the line in the sand. And so he fights his. Oh, I mean, it's a glorious fight inside the helicopter. They clearly had no room to shoot it because he's just having to. You're just getting these close-up shots of the punches of different crew. It's quite comically edited, and then he's beaten down by his comrades.
Well, I mean, it's only because the helicopter, because he throws one of the guys into the helicopter controls and it tilts the helicopter. So I mean, he was winning that fight, and then he's hanging out of the helicopter and he's only sort of holding on by his foot, sort of wrapped around like like a bar of the seat. But I just love it. They're like, we've got to detain him. We were told to detain him, not drop him.
It's kind of an interesting point that I noticed when they replayed the footage is that the biggest guy who basically beats him and knocks him unconscious, they chose a guy who looks a heck of a lot like Jesse Ventura, who's got to be his ultimate enemy.
I suppose.
So that was a kind of clever psychological priming for that. I thought that was really cool.
I thought it was just 80s, moustaches were in, just masculine energy with the old tash and army gear. I don't look at it as deeply as you do.
That's it. No, good. I've got my eagle eye out for this for them priming. Well, speaking of Jesse Ventura, what actually Oh, I was just trying to. I thought for a second, like I lost track of him in the plot. What actually happens with him?
So
he doesn't actually fight Richards, does he?
Not properly, no. So just to sort of bring him in a little bit. So he was a stalker, but he retired and he became like an announcer, like a backstage announcer for the other active stalkers to do interviews and whatnot. But he's kind of mugged throughout the film. Because there's one bit where he tries to recall a story and Killian just sort of cuts him off mid-sentence. But as the stalkers are getting dropped, it gets to a point where they're like, oh, we've got nobody left now. So okay, yeah, Captain Freedom, report to changing. And then he comes in and he's got like all this weird tin stuff on him and he's like, nope, not doing it. Screw you. I'm out.
Right.
And then they do like a digital they do like a fight. They essentially, they deep faked it, with a stunt double, and that's the fight those two have. He's not in the film after that, so presumably.
No, it just confused me for a second. I tried to remember, like, wait, actually, what happened to him?
So I can only assume that he, after Killian told him to get out, that he just left the studio, left the building altogether. But it was a shame, I suppose, if there's one thing to sort of say about the film, it was a shame that they didn't have an actual fight.
Yeah,
you don't have to kill him off, but it's just odd.
Yeah, it's Hollywood logic. I'm reminded of Pulp Fiction. Like the studio kind of had a big problem that they were going to kill John Travolta in that movie. But
right.
Pulp Fiction is achronological. So the studio basically said, hang on, the last scene of the movie, he's alive, right? And they say, yeah, he's killed off in the middle of the film. And they're like, so at the end of the film, he's alive. So the audience will be fine with it. And it's that kind of thing you could do. So they've done the same thing here. They've shown us a faked fight that didn't actually happen.
Yeah.
And our brains have gone like, awesome. Awesome! I saw Jesse Ventura take on Arnie. That was cool.
Yeah, and
even though the actual characters haven't done that.
Yeah.
Just notice that was clever.
Yeah, it is.
Um,
It is clever. I do find it that there's something oddly unsatisfying about it though, because like you get your fight scene between those two,
mm.
but at the same time you don't, and the question sort of remains as to who would actually win between Ben Richards and Captain Freedom.
Yeah, it's a tricky one, but you get some things. I think it was kind of satisfying anyway, and it did create an interesting narrative problem for
And
them.
yeah, and I also just want to comment on the name Captain Freedom. Again, it's
Oh
kind of
yeah.
ironic. It's kind of ironic that his name is Captain Freedom, and yet his whole job in as a stalker is to prevent the runners from obtaining their freedom.
Well, I mean, I have to restrain myself, TCG. I've got to claw this back in. Okay, this is going to be a tight stream, but I could go massively John Doyle posting about that name.
Okay.
Like, I really could. It's this so I think it's like quite strong, quite sharp satire that they have this guy, Captain Freedom. He's the most American, right? He's ultra freedom, but he's really, as you say, working against that, murdering people for effectively what is a public-private partnership, as I think I've heard it referred to in England a few times. I can't remember who by. And it's this idea that how can I say? Massively John Doyle posting here, but the idea of we're doing it for freedom, we're the most free, is kind of a massive cope and a psyop in current society. They hate us for our freedom,
Yeah.
That sort of thing. Like freedom is having the most massive, biggest TV, and snacks brought to you by an Albanian on a moped at 3 a.m. That sort of thing. That's the most free. When you have achieved that level of freedom, you're good. So
like,
it's
like Andrew Tate level freedom.
Yeah. Oh gosh. It's like an extremely it's a quite sharp bit of satire if they mean it, that this image of freedom that is being sold to you is actually totally fake. It's a total cope.
Yeah.
And what's being done so that you can say you're free is not actually free at all. It's actually super controlling.
That's it.
Yeah, it is like rain on your wedding day, John Gorris. It's like a free ride when you've already paid, So true. So true.
Should we talk about the other stalkers in the film?
We could. Oh, yeah. I think we didn't. We kind of got a little. There's so much in this that I think we got sidetracked. We were just talking about the opening and how well it works, because I do just find it's whiplash. We get the brief story of him trying to our save the cat moment, as screenwriters would say. It's the moment in a script, ideally very early on, that lets you know that your character is a hero.
Yeah.
So it's a Blake Snyder term, the save the cat moment, and this his is I will not mow down unarmed protesters, but we like him anyway. But that happens in about 1 minute 30. It's so quick. There's really no lead into it. Like they're in the helicopter, then the helicopter fight's over with. I swear it's like 1 minute 30 seconds, and then they're out of there.
Yeah.
And then they're mining. I'm like, oh, okay, wow, that's brutal. And then he escapes, and they're out of there in 5 minutes. It's
very to the point. It's very precise, and no, I agree. It happens very quickly because how long's the runtime on this film? It's only like it's
an
a
hour
very
40.
It's a tight runtime, and but yeah, again, like there's no need to sort of sit on those scenes for too long. You just want to get your characters into the positions where they can, I suppose, get into the hands of Damon Killian and the crew of the Running Man. yeah, I think they work well. I mean, I say, like, I think the second scene where they break out, I quite like the whole breakout scene. I do like it. And then I like as well when you meet the resistance when they go and get the old head exploding necklaces taken off. And I love this. Again, this is stuff that I didn't pick up as a kid, but I found out later on in life. You've got Mick, who is played by Mick Fleetwood from Fleetwood Mac, and you've also got what's his face, the young guy who's with him,
Weasel Zappa,
Weasel Zappa,
playing Stevie.
Yeah. So, but Mick Fleetwood in particular, excuse me, really interests me because in the film he plays himself.
Yeah,
he plays himself. He mentions to Ben Richards when, just before he takes off the thing, he's like, you're one of those cops that took my friends and burned my music. And apparently he literally means you burned my Fleetwood Mac music, like not just my personal possessions, but you actually got, it was my music that you burned. And again, when we talk about how the film satirizes sort of the dystopian future or media and whatnot, there are some real points in there, like little salient points. Again, I'm thinking of I'm thinking of Fahrenheit 4. What was it?
851.
Thank you. Yeah. I got those vibes. I got 1984 vibes throughout this film. Like you say, it does remind you of a lot of things.
It's a little bit of
another media.
It's a classic thing. Like the science fiction is never about the future; it's about now. Sorry, we are wrong. 451. Mergu, thank you very much. Yeah, Fahrenheit 451.
I do have that book somewhere.
Yeah,
I need to read that again.
Science fiction is always about now. that is it, and it's never about the technology. It's always about us. Science fiction is always giving us a hypothetical, some magic tech that is going to effectively be a way of revealing what we would do if a certain restraint were removed. As I went on about at length in my Black Mirror video, shill. There we go.
Nice.
Slipped it in there. So in that case, it is the thing of, we're going to present you this big, exaggerated authoritarian state, which you are living in. Like, there's a real question, like, are you that removed from this society right now?
Well, I mean,
and
you think about
it's a sharp bit of satire.
Yeah, there doesn't seem to be, excuse me, there doesn't actually seem to be like a middle class in this society. You're either part of the rich elite, with the decent social credit score. Pepper, you're gonna break my microphone. Sorry, cat's back.
No worries.
She's trying to sit on my lap. Hello, kitty.
Cat packs at some point, man. We're gonna need a cat photo.
She's had loads of pets already tonight as well. I just want to say, she's asking for a lot of attention. She's currently rubbing her face against my mouse pad. So you enjoy yourself, Pepper. You go for it. But yeah, anyway, there's no real middle class in this film. I find there seems to be like an elite class.
It's very V for Vendetta. Like our
there's no happy medium.
I can't remember her name. Amber, our attractive female who looks a shocking amount like Sarah Silverman. Couldn't get that out of my head, right?
Oh God, I haven't. Do you know what? I haven't seen V for Vendetta, but I will definitely take your word for it.
You haven't seen V for Vendetta?
No, no, I haven't.
Oh, okay, interesting. Sarah Silverman vibes, or who's that been who did the she was on Twitch, she got really famous. Nico Lull.
Oh yeah, I know. She was
looks like Nico Lull.
One who did the no, I see it. She was the chick who did the old Bernie thing, wasn't it? Yeah, I know.
Okay, Boomer Girl.
That's it.
She's kind of middle class, but just like V for Vendetta,
I suppose,
like Natalie Portman in V for Vendetta, she's got a middle class job, but she is really strictly tied to the power structure. And if she goes wrong, then she's got a lot more to lose, which is very 1984. It's like the proles can actually do quite a lot.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, but then like actually, interestingly about her character, you know, she's seen to sort of like push against the machine, because when Ben Richards is in, you know, again, it's just like little bits of dialogue that remind you of like 1984. He goes back to the apartment, which was his brother's apartment, and he sort of, it's brilliant because he picks up like some women's clothes, and he's sort of like, I can't remember his name, but he calls out to his brother, you know, and you kind of think he's pulled, and then you find out later on that actually she purchased the apartment a month ago because his brother got sent away and they use it re-education.
Yeah,
and again it's like vibes. But yeah, anyway, so when he sort of ties her up, and he starts rummaging through her things, and there's a box in like a wardrobe, and he's pulling out cassettes that are like on the censored list, so censored music, clothes which are like black market clothes, and you know, so even though it's interesting because she's working for the system, but she's also, I don't want to say rebelling against it, because you know she seems to buy into the philosophy, not the philosophy, but she
definitely believes the story, because she genuinely thinks she's not skeptical at all about him. She's like, oh, he's a Bakersfield guy, you know, like she believes what's on the TV screen, and it's quite a turnaround for her when she finds out obvious fakery.
Yeah, she's bought into the narrative, hasn't she? But then, like, you know, she's also got these like other sort of like harmless items which, you know, could land her in permanent re-education camps. Sorry, my cat is scratching up my armchair. She's desperate for attention. Let me open the window for her.
I mean, what can I say? It is a classic thing that there's a bit of anarcho tyranny. You know, it's like no one can keep all the laws. Have you seen a lecture? This is going to, like, a load of people are going to say, what the heck are you talking about? And there's going to be a bunch of you who are going to be like, yes, I've seen it 7 times. Have you seen a lecture from a lawyer called Don't Talk to the Police?
Yes.
Brilliant. Oh, thank goodness. All right. So, folks, track it down after the stream. It is fascinating. I know this might sound like I'm sort of fresh off my copy of The Guardian, but it's not that. It's a really fascinating lecture from a lawyer who talks about how effectively it's not an abolish the police thing. It's
just know your rights. Yeah,
it's kind of like that. It's very interesting that there's no way in which talking to the police helps you. The relevant point is that you cannot be sure at any point whether you've broken the law or not.
Yeah.
And he starts citing things like it's illegal to, transport crustaceans. You know, things like that.
What I find as well that's fascinating about that lecture as well, because he's not the only one who speaks at that lecture. There's actually another police. I don't know if he was still a serving officer at the time or if he'd retired, but he's a retired cop, and I believe he also takes the same position of don't speak to the police, because then he sort of goes.
Can argue it.
he gives you insider sort of like insider trade knowledge really as to what the police look for when they're interrogating or speaking to potential suspects.
Do you remember from the Haunting of Hill House stream, the policeman sort of trying to make sure that the father has a drink? You know, because you're going to finish your drink. It's no trouble. Hey, I told you can get a lawyer, right? You do know that, right?
Yeah.
You can leave any time you want. It would just look bad, you know, that sort of thing. There's a thing of there are so many laws, especially in the UK, you know, the rate at which they're introduced. You do not know if you've broken the law. You do not know what you may or may not be charged under. And even if you can say, I'm gonna veer us away from this because this is quite a deviation from the stream. But even if you were to say, "Oh no, officer, I know the exact law you're talking about, and I can assure you, I do not meet the requirements of it." It doesn't matter if you're getting taken in. You're getting taken in. That's happening. You can't talk them out of it. It's an absolutely fascinating talk. But the reason I brought it up was essentially it's this element of you can't really stay within the law. Now, even when it's as clear as a totalitarian regime here, you're not going to be able to stay on their good side. It's all very nominal.
Exactly.
Ooh, this went a bit San Francis unexpectedly. I was here to talk about camp lame and gold lycra. I do love what they've stuck him in, though. It's such a funny outfit.
Adidas did a good. Adidas did a good job with these outfits.
Mm. They great. Absolutely do.
It's great.
Absolutely. It's such a vibe. He's going through. He's the whole time he's dropping these one-liners that Roger Moore's James Bond would have been ashamed to use. Shall we? I thought you might have. We had a request to basically talk about the Stalkers. I thought that might be your area of expertise. Because am I right in thinking there's quite a lot of wrestling?
So
beasts in here.
Yeah, I'll admit I don't know too much about the careers. I mean, essentially, I'm having to look at Wikipedia as we go through. But I know that one of the things that caught my eye again when I was a kid, because I used to watch wrestling a lot as a kid, was obviously Jesse Ventura, who at the time was sort of around, was a WWF wrestler / sort of color commentator, who used to go under the name Jesse the Body Ventura. He was one that obviously stuck out to me. But what I didn't, again, something I didn't realize until later on was that of the, hang on a second, there's four, of the four Stalkers, two of them had background sort of wrestling experience. Dynamo, not so much. I mean, he was more of an amateur wrestler in college. Not really much of a career there in terms of like the professional wrestling scene, but with Sub-Zero, I love his name. His actual name is Professor Toru Tanaka, or simply Professor Tanaka. But he actually had quite a career. He had a run in the WWF back in the 1960s. At one point, he was number one contender for the WWF title, and the champ time was Bruno Sammartino. And I think Sammartino actually requested to Vince McMahon Sr. at the time, so obviously Vince McMahon's dad, to recruit Tanaka. But yeah, he also tag teamed with the likes of Gorilla Monsoon. I mean, he had a bit of a career going on in WWF around about that sort of time. It looks like he was wrestling up until. Yeah, it looked like he was wrestling up until sort of like the late 70s. But yeah, he perhaps had the most prolific career outside of Jesse Ventura.
I was going to say,
but he
certain has economics and politics channel I watch is interested in wrestling, and the name Professor Tanaka had sort of over enough viewings it sunk in so that when I saw that name in the credits, I was like, wait a second.
Yeah,
is that the same guy?
Yeah, and if you look at him there, he looks like he has that wrestler's build, especially for someone in the 80s. They kind of they had, especially Vince McMahon Jr. Or just Vince McMahon nowadays. he loves the big, he loved the big guys at the time. The bigger the better. Your Hulk Hogan's, your Ultimate Warriors, your Andre the Giants.
Absolutely.
He was all about the big guys. So someone like Professor Tanaka, if Vince was inspired by his father in that regard as to what the ideal superstar would look like, just looking at him here and some of the photos of him in the 70s, you can kind of see why they would sort of go for them. I mean, yeah, his build weight was 280 pounds, so he was.
All the wrestlers are absolutely massive chaps. They dwarf everyone else. It's amazing.
But he's only 5'11".
What? Really?
Yeah. He's only 5'11".
Oh my gosh! I've got to check how tall is Arnie?
Arnie, I think he was about 6'4", 6'5".
Physiognomy check.
This is where we find out it was like 5'8".
Don't do it to me. Don't be 5'4", Arnie. Don't do it. I know there was a thing they had to
6'2".
Wait, got him. Yeah, 6'2". I know they had to film carefully around Jesse Ventura because Ventura is absolutely massive.
Yeah,
dwarves Arnie, so they had to sort of shoot them quite separately.
Yeah, I mean, Jesse Ventura these days, obviously, physically, I mean, he seems like he's, he's no spring chicken now. So I mean, he's not exactly. I think he looks good for his age, but I mean, yeah, you look at him in these movies and sort of like when he was peak wrestling. I mean, the guy was an absolute unit.
He is my favorite part of this movie. I'm afraid he's great. So much fun.
Yeah, he's really great in this film.
Yeah, he's camping it up with the old lycra and just playing it like so seriously. When I say camp, I'm not meaning swishy. I mean just like he is obviously over the top, winking at you,
and that's the thing about
great time.
And that's the thing, again with wrestlers or superstars, however you want to call them, part of their job is to be sort of, is to create, these characters that you attempt to get over with the fans. And again, anyone who has sort of like a surface level knowledge of wrestling will know that there are certain characters out there which are so over the top that it's just almost unbelievable. I mean, one that springs to mind, Matt Hardy, who had this whole gimmick of just being this absolute nut job guy who was all about delete. But his character was so unbelievable and so over the top that it actually worked, and it was a really, really well loved and well received gimmick. And it's just the spirit of wrestling in that regard. You can see how characters like Matt Hardy, when he was going through his whole delete phase, would be influenced by characters like Jesse Ventura in films like this, where you just go over the top because it's full on max character. I love the picture you just put up now.
Well, if we're talking about slightly over the top characters,
yeah, I mean it's just all extravagant, isn't it? It's all it's ridiculous.
I find it hard to know, like,
also
knowing
works.
This was winking at you, knowing this is satirical, it's having fun. You're like, okay, how cool did you think this actually was?
Again, when I was a kid, this was amazing. Like, the electric lightning shooting out of his wrists to light up. I'll admit, of the Stalkers, Dynamo was probably my least favorite, just because again, you had like Buzzsaw, who was kind of like Jesse Ventura on steroids, lifting up motorcycles, punching fans in the face, slicing up, steel bars with his chainsaw. That was incredible. And then you had like Dynamo, was just
this guy.
Yeah,
I loved him. He was so good.
He's brilliant. He's absolutely brilliant.
We talked about Buffy once already. There is another Buffy reference in this, or I shouldn't say. Sorry, Buffy stole from the Running Man, I should say.
Oh, really?
Okay, so Buzzsaw is coming out with a chainsaw, having a great time on a motorbike. It is extremely 80s, love it. and he gets into this really beautifully shot fight with Arnie, where they're just kind of like silhouetted fighting over the chainsaw, and it looks genuinely glorious.
It's amazing, isn't it? You're talking about when they're just behind him. It's just like this sort of like not blood red, but
yeah. They've got the backlight, so it's just silhouetted, and it looks really good.
Incredible. I love it.
And it's quite nice how they, because this has got a lot of a repeating scenario. You know, a stalker comes after them. The stalker is winning and then loses. They do a really good job of breaking that up and changing it, because I thought I would get quite bored. On this rewatch, and I noticed that they really switch up the design. So you have the Sub-Zero fight is mostly blue, and then this one is strong red, and they send a second stalker, so they mix it up already to add the interest.
No, I thought Sub-Zero's was mostly red as well. Are you thinking?
I think they mix it up. They mix up the lighting scheme.
Oh, okay.
But I could be wrong. Anyway, and then they changed the style of the fight a lot as well. And I just noticed it this time, like, oh, nice. That could have been quite repetitive, and you did a good job of hiding it. Anyway, they get into this really gorgeous grapple, and it's ultimately who can overpower whom, and these guys are massive beasts. And ultimately, Arnie gets the win over. There is a cheesy pun. You know, this chainsaw is part of me, now it's going to be part of you. But Arnie wins and slices him from groin to gullet. And as he goes over, his voice goes high.
Falsetto,
yeah. And Arnie says,
so
the one-liner.
What's her name? Amber turns around to Ben Richards. Are you talking about that one, or
that's the one. That's the one.
Yeah. So she's like, "Where's Buzzsaw?" And he's like, "Oh, he had to split."
That's it. Yeah. Buffy does the same style kill. It's not with a chainsaw. It's with a. I think it's technically a scythe.
Okay.
And then Buffy does the same. He had to split. And I was like, "Oh,
good old Buffy.
Nice,
love it,
nice,
love it."
There you go, Buffy fans. There's little. We had a season 1 callback. Now we've had a season 7 callback. It's very wide ranging. But yeah, I just find this glorious. They're not taking it seriously, and I kind of love it.
Yeah, it's brilliant. It's brilliant. She's scratching stuff again. Thank you. She's
no.
I think that the tone of the Stalkers and sort of like the way that they bring them out is really good. I mean, sort of we're talking about sort of like how they sort of presented the fight scenes with Dynamos. Again, it's quite interesting because again it's really dark, isn't it, in terms of the lighting. So what that does is that then accentuates the suit that he's wearing and almost adds a layer of menace to who he is. Like, you know, if you're in these dark sort of alleys and you know you're running for your life, and all you can hear, oh, you want to go out?
All you can hear is a cat.
Yep. Yeah, no. And then, but then all of a sudden, in the distance, you see these little flashing light bulbs, and you see it slowly getting closer to you. And I mean, dude, Dynamo was obsessed with Amber. Very, very obsessed.
It is one of those things that, you know, if they were going to take it out, I'd probably there's a couple of struggle snuggle jokes that I'm like, ooh.
Oh yeah.
It's a little awkward with. I'm not one of the people saying, "Oh my God, you can't joke about that ever." I'm not saying that, but I'd say it was a bit of a clash with the fun, campy vibe that was in the rest of the movie.
But again, but for me, it worked because, I mean, there was going to be an element of physical there was going to be a physical threat to, in particular, the men of the movie, and it just seemed like with Amber, her main foe in the movie, because of course you had Ben Richards, of course it was Damon, it was Damon Killian who was the main foe, and then the side characters will always have their little sort of side enemies to go up against, and it was quite interesting that they saved Dynamo, and not saved, but saved him till sort of like towards the end of the film, to then have the conflict resolution with Amber and have Dynamo as the main threat to Amber. I thought that was quite interesting, although his decision making at that moment in time was a bit questionable. The
dude's priorities are a bit off, aren't they?
Yeah, I mean, if you're going to try and do something like that, maybe in a hallway, perhaps isn't exactly the best place, especially when there is a terror attack going on.
Yeah, I was looking. Is there a good photo of it? I'll not look for the photo anymore. But shall we just take a moment and note that for all the complaints about these movies, Amber isn't some damsel.
No,
she's not some. It's such a fake complaint. Like, Amber in this has her own purpose. She has her own arc. She's brought into the story a bit randomly because she happens to be in Ben Richards' brother's old apartment. And then she's got complexities about her feelings about the scheme. She changes allegiance, then she's captured, and then she's not helpless, She's got her own, as you say, her own nemesis in Dynamo, who's super creepy, who she defeats. She gets to work a gun a bit. She's really badass,
Yeah, she's definitely not a damsel in distress in this movie. I mean,
so all those complaints are just like, have you watched these movies? Come on.
Yeah. Although I suppose you could argue that, in the first interaction with Dynamo, when Arnold Schwarzenegger's running towards him, it's like, hey, light bulb, hey, Christmas tree, just making these like little light bulb references. Like, at that moment, you could sort of argue, yeah, she's in real danger at that moment, because obviously Vice had been killed at that moment, just as he managed to give her the uplink code. That's the only time, really. And I suppose Fireball as well. But again, like, it's important that she was in with the Fireball scene when she finds, again, quote unquote, last season's winners. It's important that she's there, because for Amber's character, again, going from sort of like believing the narrative that Ben Richards was was responsible for the Bakersfeld massacre, that he is this person that the media are portraying him to be, and then she learns through her own experience when he takes her to the airport, because they try and use her travel card to get out of wherever it is they are to LA, and then she obviously breaks free, like, and then nothing happens. He runs. They chase him down, but then we might say that he killed the ticket guy. He killed, shot people at point blank range. That's the first moment where she's like, "Hold on, that didn't happen." And she goes from that to then getting the original files for the Bakersfield massacre. She then finds out that last season's winners didn't actually win. That was all fake. They'd actually died in some dingy, burnt down changing room. She needed to be there for that moment with Fireball to really sort of understand the severity of the situation, because, again, Fireball confirms it. They weren't last season's winners. No, they were last season's losers. It just sort of cements that. Although I question how Arnold came out from on top. Like, I didn't realize that Ben Richards was also Spider-Man, but
yeah. There are one or two things that they skirt around, something I really cracked me up was she's got the raw footage that proves his innocence, and he just asks her, "Where were you keeping that?" And she says, it's an obvious plot hole, but then you just wink at it, and it's like, it's fine. Everything is forgiven. That cracked me up.
Yeah,
I absolutely loved it.
Well, you call it a plot hole, but no,
it was easily
plot
hole. It's
no. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge. phrasing.
It's that kind of thing, you know.
Yeah, that was
But
good.
The movie's already telling you basically don't take it that seriously.
Yeah,
but we do acknowledge this is a reasonable question, because that was my first thing was, wait, they captured you and took all your stuff, like how do you have it? And the movie's just instantly like she's resourceful, obviously, but
absolutely,
for all this talk about via satire where you have many a truth spoken in jest, I did think that thing of it's quite a turning moment, or it certainly was for me, like when you see all the mainstream reporting being completely wrong on something you know about, it does start you going a little like,
Oh,
you know,
absolutely.
once you've seen them lie about one thing, you do start it does change how you think.
It
and
definitely
for
does
her
change
to
your
have
perception.
that journey, I thought, you know.
I mean, there's a reason why, I mean, in real life, like you have media perception, you know, in terms of media trust. And again, I'm not picking any one particular sort of side out. I mean, just generally there is a low trust in media because nowadays it seems to be more narrative driven than it is actually fact based. You know, they have their side, they're going to go with what their side wants to portray, and it's up to you to then try and differentiate between what can be thrown out as rubbish and what can be accepted. And I think this film sort of comments on that quite well, albeit, you know, in a highly exaggerated tone. Oh my god, I love this when they when they go through the her crimes, if you will, and it's like they mention that one bit. It's like sometimes she would sleep with 2, even 3 men a year, and it's like, what?
I couldn't believe that. That was brilliant.
I know.
Was so good. I mean, like genuinely, for a sort of telling you a lot about the regime. Can you believe it? 2 a year.
Oh, I know. I mean,
I was like, yes, based.
yeah.
Also, I'm only going to say this once, chat, from this photo, but sleepaway camp.
What?
Don't tell me I'm the only one seeing it, guys. Don't tell me I'm the only one. Moving on, anyway. Oh, I've seen Richard in. All right, Richard, I know you wanted us to cover this. I hope you're doing okay, mate. And Desiccated Limbs, good to see you, man. We're having fun covering our Yiz sees it. Yiz knows what I'm talking about. Yeah, I thought that was a really fun detail.
So, I pretended to be Fireball when I used the weed burner. That's incredible.
That was so good fun. I've noticed the guy's hair when he was in the background. I was like, what is going on there? And they're like, oh, it's Fireball. Lovely.
Yeah.
And he's just, the fact that he's got his own sort of Rocketeer style jetpack, just it was good that they saved that until later in the film, because it is incredibly silly. I did have another Amber photo, but I didn't think this would be the best one to
I did find it funny when Arnie sort of came down from the top and sort of pulled his cords. And bearing in mind they're in like changing rooms, and I don't know if you caught it, if you could get subtitles on the version you watched, but as he's sort of like writhing around panicking, he's saying things like, why can't I fly, I'm like, why would you want to? You're in an enclosed room.
It's that fight I wasn't as pleased with, but I did really like the reveal about the previous winners that you just mentioned.
I thought it was great. I loved it. it.
In the stream on Dark City, we talked about sort of a similar moment, and when we got to that, I just had to go, this is like the Running Man.
Nice.
And I loved it. It's such a good reveal, that idea that of course they don't let them actually win. Of course they don't.
And actually oh my god, I can't speak. The decomposition on the bodies, the effects that they use the effects that they used, I thought was brilliant. I remember being a kid and just being like the one guy whose skin's like completely dried up, it's all grey, and his eyes are still intact, and the teeth are just sort of sticking out, and it's just like, oh mate, that is horrific to look at.
It is some wonderfully rank stuff. Like
whoever designed that, I tip my hat to them because it was fantastic. Brilliant.
Yeah, it's some wonderfully nasty props. I mean, what we've been saying with the NREAB, I absolutely love you. That's brilliant. Nice. It's going to be some confused people and some people going like, yes. I am at the intersection of some niche micro internet memes. I get that. Good. This is a diverse chat, folks. Here we serve many interests. I just wanted to take a moment and just point out, like, I know Arnold Schwarzenegger was not super happy with the choice of director. Oh gosh, why have I forgotten his name at the moment? It's Paul Michael Glazer.
Okay.
He wasn't super happy. He wanted another chap to do it, but I think Glazer did a pretty decent job. You know. I do. He's obviously getting through stuff very quickly at the start, and beyond that, I think it does settle into a much better pace. But the one that really interested me was the writer of this. This blew my mind. I told you about this before we started the stream, and you can see how he got the job. He did Commando in 1985, so obviously he's done an Arnie film already. This is the writer Stephen E. D'Souza, and would you believe that this is the same writer as Die Hard?
Yes.
It's great, isn't it?
It's great. Would you believe that this is the same writer as the Flintstones?
Hang on, what? Oh my god, I missed that one. Yeah.
Oh, he even did a Tales from the Crypt episode as well.
Everyone did a Tales from the Crypt episode. Did you know Arnie did a Tales from the Crypt episode?
No. Are you serious?
Yeah, seriously. Okay, I'm going to get you that. It's a really good one.
No way.
We are going to have like, by the way, I want to do lots of Tales from the Crypt stuff, and I just don't know how.
Right.
I don't know how to approach it, because do we just do like a random episode or something?
I think that would work.
I've got the image for you. There's so much, so I wondered, do we like try and do like 3 episodes in a stream or something? We could try it that way.
I think doing 1 episode would be quite good, because then we could focus the time on that, or maybe even what.
It's a really good episode. I loved it. Shall we go nostalgic? My Blockbuster had 2 Tales from the Crypt tapes, and I rented both of them.
Nice.
And this was on them, and I was watching them in 1997. And I remember this because I was watching them on the morning that the news about Princess Diana came out.
Oh, wow.
So that's why this episode is burned into my memory.
Oh, wow.
Incidentally, the other one I know was on the tape was the one starring Jeffrey Tambor and Demi Moore, which is, as far as I gather, is one of the best known episodes. But yeah,
that's really interesting. I didn't.
Oh, it's so good. It's my absolute favorite. If we can work out the right format for it, we can go on a little Tales from the Crypt binge.
Yeah, I would definitely love to do that.
But honestly, everyone's been in Tales from the Crypt. Tom Cruise was in Tales from the Crypt.
Oh no! Stop it! Really?
Oh yeah. Would I lie to you, TCG? Would I spread misinformation on the internet?
I don't know.
All right. So Stephen E. D'Souza, we talked about his writing credits. We missed out his directing credit. Can you believe we did that?
Oh, no. Shame.
Right. Go on.
Shame on us.
I think we are going to have to talk about his directing credit, which was for Street Fighter in 1994.
Street Fighter is a great
You
film.
got it.
Changed my mind. That's it. That's all. That's all I
I'm,
can say.
I'm
Street Fighter is an
waiting for you
amazing
to
film.
know.
Which one am I meant to be doing?
No, it's all good. I've just noticed that Henry was suggesting a review arc with. Maybe we could do like a couple of episodes from each week. I don't know. I just really want to cover them. I don't know how to approach the horror anthologies.
I think we could do. I think a stretch. I think because we've got what 2.5 hours, don't we, on a stream?
We never go over that. We're very
never go over. I reckon we could blast out a couple of episodes per stream. Because how long are the how long are the episodes typically?
Like 25 minutes.
Oh, we could easily do that.
You know what? The first ones I watched recently, because I got my hands on all of Tales from the Crypt, and one of the early ones is Joe Pantoliano, Cypher from The Matrix.
Oh wow!
As a guy who has unlimited lives, I think he keeps reincarnating. Some weird stuff in the Tales from the Crypt back catalogue. I'm telling you, folks.
Oh, interesting. Oh my god! Right, this is going to be an absolute rabbit hole to fall down. We have to do it. We have to do it. Absolutely, no questions.
All right, I could see it for December.
Yeah.
All right. Sorry, we're getting slightly distracted. I think we might probably be in the room to round up fairly soon. I just want to make sure that the director and the writer had been acknowledged. I know that Years had done a good job pointing out the DOP, who'd obviously done really good stuff on this. I particularly liked the silhouette work on that chainsaw fight.
It was brilliant. Yeah,
it was nifty.
Easily, yeah. That was easily my favorite fight scene of the film. Those two going at it.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah, Mercury, Tales from the Dark Side, Hammer, House of Horror. What else? What else should we do? There's honestly so many. Roald Dahl's Tales from the Unexpected. Alfred Hitchcock Presents. We could just snort a line and go all night. Frankly, there's so many.
What about remember the old kids one? Are You Afraid of the Dark?
Oh my gosh! Yeah, we should do like spooky kids horror. For a while.
We should do.
And that would be in there definitely.
Yeah, we've got to do that. Yeah, Are You Afraid of the Dark? We've got to do that.
Everyone's saying it. I think it's going to have to happen. I remember that got actually spooky quite a few times.
Yeah, I used to get freaked out by that as a kid.
Oh yeah. Oh guys, it's got to happen. It's got to happen. Yeah, it's very nicely shot, we got to say. So they do make their way through. They meet up with the resistance. I will note one thing that slightly bugs me, that's maybe a bit inevitable. The resistance all are wearing sort of berets, and they've got this. The resistance basically are coded as like left-wing students, which I was like, oh, okay, fine. It's the berets.
It felt slightly LARPy.
It was a little
bit LARPy. But I think if are we looking at it with 2022 fashion sense lenses on? I mean, everything from the 80s was a bit. I mean, look at the women in the intro and the halftime show dance and whatnot. It's all just over the top, the big old barnets and the old the old skin tight, sort of like.
Yeah, it very much is. I just think it's kind of it's your cinematic language, of the time that you read, and the language for revolutionary is coached in a sort of a specific aesthetic, whereas you could see in another time. I'm thinking of like your older war movies. It's coached another way, where it's your rebellions are a lot more like secret codes and so on, or flashes of a jacket lining, stuff like that.
I have a question Chloe. I have a question, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Mergut mentions Che Guevara clones, and I know obviously you just come up with the whole sort of left wing side of it. Would you rather that or Pinochet capes?
I can't say that on this stream, TCB. Look, I've got a video coming out on Friday that is extremely close to the line. Okay.
Would you have been Would you have been more concerned if they were wearing Hugo Boss outfits?
What, singing about flowers on the mountain?
Yeah.
Or their lovely green parachutes? I don't know.
Yeah. I mean,
maybe just for variety,
What would the political commentary be in that moment? Like at that moment, should we be siding with them or should we be?
Well,
the
green of the parachutes is about sort of their eco credentials.
Right.
That's what I get. This is a
Gotcha.
very niche stream. Let's move off these very niche references, and I'll just say, Arlo, thank you so much for the $5. My favorite armored.
Oh, what a legend!
Cheers. That's much appreciated.
I mean, he goes. I mean, Ben flew a helicopter.
Oh no!
Enough said. Ben, you're on the wrong side.
Thank you, Ben. Very epic. Yeah, it's just like a certain thing of it's the cinematic language of the time, like nowadays, or I would say anything after back maybe late 90s. You got cinematic language is really focused on fighting the faceless corporation, and so your aesthetic is lots of mowing down people in identical uniforms with their faces covered.
Right.
And that's kind of like the current, that's like a cinematic aesthetic for I'm rebelling against the system.
Yeah.
But also, it's really handy if you've only got about 6 stuntmen and you want to reuse them over and over again.
Ah.
So there are some things that are just practicalities and aren't, me schizo reading films.
No, I was to say, I mean, in all seriousness, I think the purpose of their attire in this was purely like you say, cinematic language. It just easily identifies them as, because I mean they identify themselves as the resistance. They, there is a certain image that sort of springs to mind when you think of resistances, rebellions, that sort of stuff. And I think all they're doing is they're just bringing that to life visually. I don't think there's any sort of left or right paradigm messaging going on there. I mean, it's just, again, it's such a schlocky film. I mean, other than the blatant sort of messaging that you hear for satire's sake, I don't really think they're trying to say too much. But at the same time, there are points that I know the apple pizza finger. I must admit, Sven does look a bit like Sargon in that image.
I can't unsee it.
That is quite
no. What he should do is there's a bit where he grabs a camera because Killian offers him a contract.
Yes,
and she says, "No, Killian,
you know what I think?
To kill you."
Yeah, no, he's like, I know. You know what I think? I live to see you eat that contract, but I hope you leave enough room because I'm going to shove my fist so far down your throat and rip out your spine.
It was a perfect line reading, but it should have been, "I'm gonna kill you in your studio in Los Angeles."
Because
or in a trailer,
and I'm obsessed.
No, in real life. Oh dear. Can we just point out that surprise felt Sargon here has one of the best lines of the film.
He certainly does.
Just completely randomly.
Does. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's if they've forgotten.
It's set up great, isn't it? I mean, because at one point during the movie, this is the point where. Oh, you're right.
Henry Abb. Oh, thank you.
That's brilliant. He when Captain Freedom's like, nah, not doing it. I'm not going out dressed like this tin can dork. And Killian's like, go on, get out. He sort of turns to Sven and he's like, go on, get rid of him. And he sort of says, what's the matter? The steroids gone to your ears or something like that. And he just, shrugs it off and silently ushers Captain Freedom out. And then later on in the film, obviously after the shootouts happened, and it's just Ben and Killian. And this is what I was talking about earlier when he was all like, "Oh, you're upset. You got every right to be." Blah blah blah. He then sees, it's like Sven walks out of the bag, doesn't he? And I love the lighting of it, because he sort of comes out in nice little shadow, and he just sort of comes out to sort of revealed into the light, and sort of Damon sort of the mood changes, and he sort of looks, and he looks, and he goes, "Sven, do you want to talk to Mr. Richards?" And there's just a long silence, and then he sort of looks, sort of comes up to him, and they sort of stare each other down, and Damon's like, what? And then Sven just sort of turns around to him and goes, "I've got to score some steroids," and then just turns around and walks out again.
Oh, it's a great setup as well. He's been taking crap from Killian the whole time, and then but, no thanks. I loved that. I thought that was really good.
It was brilliant. And the thing is, he's got such a thick, like, Scandinavian accent. It's almost difficult to understand what he's saying. I've got to score some steroids. What?
It's, how can I say, you would not get this in a film today. It's a wonderful 80s moment. Speaking of pure 80s moments, though, by the way, Killian's death. Oh, wonderfully set up. It's poetic. It's like poetry. It rhymes. He's put in the what would you call it? Like a sled, almost. I want to call it.
Yeah, it's like a bobsled, really, isn't it?
But why does it explode?
80s movies logic.
I know. It is properly that trope of, in the 80s movie, the thing explodes regardless of whether it should or not.
Yep. It's like that scene from The Simpsons where Homer's trying to make food for Mr. Burns.
Yeah.
And he does like various things they set on fire, and like gets to a point where he pours milk into a bowl of cereal, and that sets on fire. It's just same logic.
This is why I really think they're in on the joke, and they're just having fun. They are doing it satirically. It's they're in on the joke, and I just love it. It's a great time.
Sorry, just to rewind slightly, it's when he gets shoved into the sled, and then Damon Killian like turns around, he's like, "You bastard, drop dead, you bastard, drop dead." And Ben Richards just goes, "I don't do requests."
Just nothing but cheesy one-liners,
And then after he explodes for no reason, he's just like, "Yeah, well, that hit the spot."
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of the one-liners in this film. Yeah, he's got like after he kills Sub-Zero, he's like, "Killian, here's Sub-Zero. This is the one. Now, Plane Zero." What? What are you talking about?
They're just having fun.
Oh,
I swear the whole "that hits a spot" was like a callback to an advert as well.
I
think it was like Cadre Cola hits the spot.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's right. And it's just other one-liners in the movie as well, like when they're heading to the airport and Amber turns around because Arnie's wearing this like Technicolor Hawaiian t-shirt, and she's like, "I'm warning you, I get sick, air sick, car sick, I'm gonna throw up all over you." And he just turns around and he's like, "Go ahead, won't show on this shirt."
It's such a great line. Like, honestly, Stephen D'Souza, he wrote a really funny, really clever satirical script.
Yeah,
it's excellent.
Oh, have you got screenshots of the the end credits rolling in the background?
I don't think I have. No.
Because guys, if you've watched the film, you might have seen it, you might not have, but later on in the film, when it's over, the end credits are rolling on a small TV behind, and some of the credits are really actually quite clever. I've got to see if we can find them.
Go for it. You had the quote earlier.
I did. I can't remember any of them now.
All right. Well, while TCG is looking for the quote that goes out in the end credits, I will implore you to Smash that like it. Oh, I'm sorry, I'm no good at it, folks. I'm no good. I can't shill. I've out-shilled today already. But if you've got a click left in you, hello Gatsby, put it on that like, folks. Have you found the quotation?
No, it's oh, I'm not talking about the end credits. I'm talking about in the movie, in the movie when the credits are rolling for the end of the Running Man show, and then it's just got those like really sort of like funny, like little quirky, like one-liners, like I don't know, oh, God, I can't even remember what they say. I will find them. The Running Man end credits.
All right, furious clipping aside, you've hunt that down. I will note that because it's an 80s movie and it is unapologetic. Of course, Arnie and Amber have to make out at the end. It's fantastic, and it's just sort of. I don't know how to describe it, but she just walks up to him. She's defeated her nemesis. He's defeated his. He turns around. The lighting sort of goes very heroic, and that the music kicks in. Oh, it's very atmospheric.
Oh, okay. I haven't found the picture, but what I have found is something, a little Easter egg archive about the novel.
Oh,
so at the end, at the end of Stephen King's dystopian novel, The Running Man, Ben Richards finds himself on a network-controlled plane. The plane's call sign is repeated several times by the traffic controller as C1984 or C1984. Hang on a minute, was that the call sign of the helicopter as well? C1984. I think it might have been, you know.
Oh.
I think it might have been.
Oh, missed by me.
Right, I'm going to find out.
If you get a long shot of the helicopter, you'll be able to see it.
Oh no, I'm thinking because they do call out. They do call out the call sign at the start. I'm going to have to find out, guys. Again, this is things I'm learning.
Deep rabbit hole. Well, yeah, there are loads of details in this.
Here we go.
For a for a film filled with just like over the top villains and cheesy one-liners, there's lots of smart observations so that they can it's got a very loud volume on a lot of its stuff so that it can slide subtle stuff under there.
They don't. They say Yankee 99er.
Alas.
Never mind. But yeah, there you go. Little Easter egg there for the novel. C1984.
Nice.
Reference to Orwell.
It's nicely done. The Richard Bachmann novels can be kind of hit and miss. I've got a weakness for Thinner. It's an absolute mess of a film, but it is a laugh. Also based on a Bachmann one. All right. Yeah, so as we said, it's an 80s movie. It's sod chemistry. They're going to make out. It's got to happen.
Oh, yeah.
And it's very satisfying movie logic. It's not like a Steven Seagal movie where there's a chemistry-free sex scene about 40 minutes in, regardless of what's happening in the plot.
Yeah.
You know, you'd have that in the 80s action movies. There's almost like come on, get it out the way.
Yeah, it's. I love the song though that's played.
Yeah, it's atmospheric. It's very atmospheric. I was won over. I was just like unironically just enjoying it. Like, yeah, absolutely. You've earned it, hero. He does that little thing. She comes up to him and he just sort of like she's proven herself, but he still like pulls her in. You know.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And again,
Solid.
It's a bit of a throwback. It's a bit of a throwback to earlier on in the film when she's like, "Oh, you know, they're telling lies about me. They said that, you know, we're together." And he's like, "Oh, there's a camera over there. How about I show you? How about I show them? Put them right."
He's going to make it 3. He's going to make it 3 this year.
Yeah, and then at the end of this film, of course, they're in front of a camera, and they're smooching. So, yeah,
ends on a high note. You know.
Absolutely.
With people having seen the lies of the regime, and quite a few clearly turning against it. It's an optimistic ending. But we don't need to see that. There's a Austro-Argentinian makeouts to happen. Oh no, sorry, Austro-Cuban bonding moment to happen. Yeah. So we've got a tiny bit longer than I expected to, but I love this one. I really enjoyed it. I'm so glad we got to cover it.
Oh yeah. Oh, me too. I thoroughly enjoyed this film. I think it truly just it disappoints me in a way because the film itself didn't do too great in the box office. It got like mixed reviews. You know, it made its money back, I believe, but not by much. So I mean, in terms of whether it was, you know, it wasn't exactly like the big box office hit that oh, here we go, I found it.
Oh,
right. So in some of the so let me if you go 123 and 22 on the film and just sort of go back, but just to give you a bit of an idea.
Oh, can you get me a screen cap? I don't have the film open.
Oh, okay.
You get me a screen. You focus on that. I'll just ask. Desiccated limbs. I am very up for that. Do you want to send me a reference? I've I don't know if you see my Black Mirror video. That does have a Christian analysis in there. If you haven't seen that one. But name the film. I'd be interested. I like the idea of covering that. Yeah, I read that it had done okay. Like it wasn't a massive winner. It wasn't Predator, but it was just pretty solid. Okay.
Yeah,
cool.
yeah, that's it. Yeah, it was. Yeah, it wasn't like a Terminator or obviously like later on T2. But what I do like though is as the years have gone by, this film seems to be more appreciated by those who watch it now, and even
Oh God.
sort of the way that films have. So I think this film has aged quite well, given how sort of technology and sort of how sort of more current events have unfolded. This film does seem to sort of has sort of aged well. I don't know if you guys can see that too well on the stream, but in the background,
wonderful.
Yeah, in the background. I mean, there's more. This is just an example, but yeah, the titles are going, and again, blink and you miss it, but they're all satirical. So yeah, you've got what's next. I don't know. Titles, type them wrong. Makeup, paint your face, and then there's just other bits as well. But again, you blink and you miss it, and that's what I love about this film. There's so much stuff that goes on behind the scenes.
I love an Easter egg.
You can genuinely watch this film again and again, and each time you'll find something different. But yeah, so going back to what I was saying, I think this film's aged really well. I think I love that it's more appreciated. It's grown more appreciated as time has gone on. It's just fun. It's genuinely just a fun film, and I've heard that they are going to be remaking it, because this is one thing I've spoken about before.
Yes,
that this is perhaps, I'm surprised they haven't remade it yet, but it turns out that they are looking at remaking it, and apparently Edgar Wright will be directing the film. So
I'm pretty optimistic about that.
I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful of it, and apparently, back in 2014, Schwarzenegger said that he was up for coming back and reprising the role, whether that be a sequel or a remake. I mean, look, nothing will beat the original, and I think we just have to expect these days that Hollywood has no idea, so they're just going to butcher previous franchises. I think Chloe has a great video, funnily enough, about hate watching and how we shouldn't be doing it. And so I think it's perfectly acceptable to just step over if it doesn't look your cup of tea. Totally.
Actually, one of our earliest double feature horror shows was about the Stephen King remake wave. That the rights were sold fairly cheaply back in the day. Lots of adaptations were made reasonably cheaply. The Tommy Knockers comes to mind. They haven't all stood the test of time, and now there's after a few big successes with It and Pet Sematary, there is a move to just go back to them, redo the classics. like Disney, redo the classics. Just keep going. Just keep going.
Yeah.
Now, Edgar Wright, might he do a good job? It's entirely possible. There are remakes that are better than the original, so let's be cautious.
I am gonna just take a little bit of a just take it in a bit of a different direction though, because from what I've learned about this potential, I want to call it. I'm calling it a remake just because obviously this film, but. Apparently it's not a remake. It's a remake, but it's not a remake. So from what I understand is from the quote unquote remake is excuse me, it's going to be more true to form to the original novel. So in that sense, because this film, Murgut, that's right, because this film it was very loosely tied to it. I mean, one of the obvious differences straight off the bat was this film was sort of set in 2017 to begin with, then 18 months later, sort of 2019, whereas the novel I know was set in 2025. So it's gonna, but yeah, I mean, Edgar Wright apparently has come out and said that, look, you know, the remake, requel, whatever you want to call it, is going to be more focused on the story that the novel tells. And it's going to be more true to form on that. So if that's something that brings any sort of peace of mind to anyone who's nervous about a Running Man remake, I hope that's it.
They definitely need to do a different spin on it, because I think this is actually just perfect for what it is.
This to me is kind of like Back to the Future. You know, you can't make a remake of Back to the Future. Sure, you can do like I know there's a musical version, there's like theatrical like theater versions of the movie, but that's fine. But excuse me, but yeah, in terms of actually remaking it for cinemas, don't touch it. This for me is a film that shouldn't be touched. I can accept a remake or whatever you want to call it, where they actually sort of rely more heavily on the source material and sort of try and tell a more serious story. I can get behind that. But yeah, I mean, if they wanted to try and be loosey goosey like the original producers directors were with the Running Man, then nah, I don't think I could. I don't think it would pique my interest. I think I would avoid the hate watch and move on to something more productive.
I think Back to the Future is a good comparison. This one just kind of nailed it a bit too much.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, Dominic, you may have missed most of the stream, but you got the first comment in. You did. Get to the chopper. You got it in first.
Yes. Get to the chopper.
Crow Minion had a good question. Are we going to do some scores? I think we should do some scores.
Oh, absolutely.
Chat. Give us your scores out of 12 burgers. And TCG, would you like to give your score and thoughts for The Running Man?
Yeah. Again, as I said before, you know, as a kid growing up, I loved this film. I was probably the dumb citizen that the film portrays their own citizens as, because I just went to big shooty bang bangs, explosions, fight scenes. Oh, look, there's murders, there's death. Oh, our good guy is a good guy and our bad guy is a bad guy. Yay, the good guy wins, he gets the girl. It ticked all the boxes as a kid, and as I got older, I've grown to appreciate this film more. I think I mean, there's very little I can criticize it for, and that may be my bias talking. But you know what? It's mine. In terms of a score, man, could I give it a 12?
Ooh.
Could I give it a 12? Hell yeah, I could. Yeah, it's a 12. It's a 12. There's so
Ed
much.
Miliband 12 as well.
Yeah,
hell
exactly.
yeah.
There is so much cheese in this film, honestly, in this burger that I'm making. Honestly, you'd think the burger would be the side. There is a nice amount of there's a nice quantity of tomato ketchup as well. And you know what? Because of what happened to Buzzsaw, I'm going to be extra edgy. A couple of meatballs as well.
Oh. Nice. Well, this is clearly been appreciated. Chat, you have good taste. I never doubted you, chat. I knew you were going to come through and give it the score it deserved.
Some beautiful scores there.
Oh, this is
steroids,
wonderful.
yes.
Yeah, I'm going to go and get some sauces. Wonderful stuff. Absolutely, the bacon's in there too. All right.
Oh, hang
All
on.
right.
Richard's asked if I can say they need food. They just need food and water, for Christ's sake. I will not harm innocent civilians. The hell with you. The hell with you.
Oh, gosh. Don't know how you do that without it wrecking your throat, man.
Don't.
Okay.
My voice is ruined.
All right, chat. Don't be mad. It's a 10.5 from me. It's a 10.5. Why am I? There's so much I love in this. It's where it's cheesy. It knows darn well it's cheesy. It's got clever commentary and not just corporation bad. It's layered satire. This is good stuff. I am docking points. I think because I didn't like the rapey angle on Dynamo. Wasn't a fan on that. It sort of squicked me a bit. Not a big fan.
To be fair, I know that you don't like that sort of thing anyway.
I mean, it doesn't. I don't mind it in horror. I think it's incredibly effective. I don't. It's just when the comedy elements there a bit, I wasn't as big a fan, and I thought the fight with Fireball was a little awkwardly blocked. The only other thing I would really be taking points off for is that I wasn't. I just thought the order and pacing at the start, those initial scenes where we go from the helicopter fight to the mining operation and escape, and Chico losing his head.
Oh, poor Chico. F's in the chat for Chico, guys.
Yeah, F's in the chat, boys. Oh no! Oh, come on, 10.5. Come on, Maverick. That's pretty solid.
Well, don't unsubscribe from my channels, mate.
I just I can't. There's something that doesn't feel right to me about the pacing of that and the rushing around. So I'd probably reorganize that. So otherwise, it's a strong 10.5.
I do disagree. I don't have a problem with those openings with those first two scenes. The only thing I would say would and this is purely just if I was to just sort of toy with the storyline a little bit, not that I would, but if that opening scene was removed and just throughout the movie, whether there was that lingering question. Oh no, I disavow. But whether there was a lingering question as to whether he was the butcher of Bakersfeld, and it's not revealed until the end, like you see in the movie. So like the rest of the film plays out, but there's just a bit of a question that gets answered at the end.
It is still fun how they reveal how the footage was chopped up.
Yeah.
It's recent enough that you remember what you actually saw versus what they show you. So it is still pretty good.
And do you know what? Do you know what I love about it, right? Is if you look at the way, again, I don't mean to sort of go there, but you know how like certain people in certain spheres of the internet who are quite well known will say some things, context gets removed, and just the way that it was edited, it just really, really reminded me of somebody just looking to score cheap points on the internet and cutting something out of context to make it sound worse than what it was. Because they don't. I mean, well, they don't really add anything
the kind of person you mean, someone like maybe a guest star in this film.
Oh yeah. Oh, have you got? Oh, I can't. Oh,
I've got it.
Who could that possibly be? Yes.
Unexpected Ethan Klein cameo.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, I don't know why. I don't know why he would do something like that, but he would do something like that.
He can't keep getting away with this.
I know.
There's someone. I wish I'd got the screen cap. There's someone in the crowd who looked just like Justin Trudeau, and it really distracted me. I wish I'd got the footage. I might try and get the cap for it, and I'll use it to shill the replay of this. But okay, all right. I sit on a 10.5. You're on a 12.5. Sorry, 12.
12 and a half.
So
I'll take 12.5. If I'll go higher.
Well, I don't think anyone can say this film hasn't been loved. It has been an absolute blast going over this. I really enjoyed it. And I did see Fez suggesting a V for Vendetta stream. So
sounds good to me. I just can you name this file, this image? Can you rename the file name if you haven't already called it? Just rename it Ethan Meets Healer.
Ethan Meets Healer. I can do that. I can definitely do that. All right. Well, I think I sent you the screen cap on Discord, so you should have that. Excellent. Yeah, we can save it as that. All right. Well, I thought this would be like the shortest. I thought we'd do an hour, but this film has a lot you can say about it. I'm glad it was appreciated. And
this was an hour and a half. What are you talking about? Of course it was. Yeah.
Check the edited time code, my dudes. Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, don't believe your lying eyes, guys.
Exactly.
All right. Thanks for coming on. I had a blast doing this TCG. This was good.
Oh,
fun.
Me too.
All right. Hello, Gatters.
Hey,
you obviously enjoyed it too.
Yeah,
12 out of 12 for Gatters. Well done, the old chum. Is he going to do one more? Yeah, he's done a little one. Well, that is my sign. He has had a lot of opinions today. I'm going to tell you, folks, a lot of opinions. All right, I'm going to get a photo of him up for you on the Thursday stream, so you can actually see me, my lad. And but I should sign off now. So I will renew thanks to you, TCG.
Thank you very much. It's been a pleasure. I'm so glad we got this stream done. I'm so glad.
A good laugh. Always timely. And chat, thank you. I'm glad you chipped in. You cracked me up. Damn you, chat. You made me laugh way too much in this stream.
Yeah, thank you guys. You've been brilliant as well. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I kept losing my stream of consciousness because was it Enriab with your amazing Sargon calls were amazing.
So we've had Sargon, Justin Trudeau, Ethan Klein, Ela, I suppose.
Yeah.
From a side panel. Yeah.
Little Nico Lull cameo as well.
Yeah.
All right, thanks. So I'm going to see you on Thursday, and Years will see you on Thursday as well. We're going to cover 1985's Life Force, so 2 years before this. We're sticking 80s this week. And then on Friday, I want to see you all in for the premiere of the Invasion of the Body Snatchers video. So maybe it's a lot to ask for, but definitely would help to rewatch the 1978 Invasion of the Body Snatchers. And with that, I will be off. I will wish you a fantastic night. Thanks for tuning in, and I hope to see you on Thursday. Oh, actually, one more thing I should do. It was pointed out to me, quite interestingly, in amazing timing, there's actually a stream about The Running Man tomorrow. So that's on Guide to Culture. I don't know if you guys watch this. I saw their stream about Psycho, which was really interesting. So they're probably going to have, that's got American Krogan on. I know that's not going to be for everyone, but I'm sure plenty of you will enjoy that. And they will probably take quite a different stance that we have, but it'll be interesting commentary. So if you fancy it, that is going to be tomorrow. And great popping in, Edwolf. Good to see you. Good to see you, man. I'm glad you enjoyed it. All right, thanks. Well, we are ending it now, so I hope you enjoyed it. If you're watching it on the replay, I hope you enjoyed it and you've given it a like and subscribe if you haven't already subscribed. I'm on YouTube. I have to say it. It's just automatic now. Okay. I will see you folks on Thursday and wish you all the best. Thanks, y'all. Cheers.